Fischer. This is 10 Minutes to Inspire.
Hello, Sandeep Bakshi.
Hi.
And thank you for being with us at Tech.Emotion 10 Minutes to Inspire.
Thank you so much for having me.
Shall we get to know you a little bit better?
Of course. So I'm Sandeep. I am based in London. I look after the venture arm for Europe and the US for Prosus Ventures. Prosus, we're the largest listed tech company in Europe. So we've got a net asset value of about $170 billion. And I'm very much privileged to be here to inspire. So I'm glad that I have this opportunity to chat with you.
If you had to share with us, what is the venture that best defines you? What would that be?
The venture that best defines me personally? Sure. At the age of 21, my father passed away, and I had to move from New York to London to look after my mom, who was in India. The venture that best defines me was that journey of looking after my mom after my father passed away. I think that's what really instilled some semblance of grit and independence in me. It changed the dynamic of relationship when you go from being provided for to being a care provider. I was 21 at the time. But I think that it instilled some semblance of empathy that I have today. And also the ability to tell my mom that I don't have to eat my vegetables anymore because I'm the care provider. But I think that that's probably something that best describes the best venture that I could think of on the spot.
Yeah, I like that. And if you had to think about who or an experience that has influenced a lot and has inspired you, what would that be?
I think that my life fundamentally is a culmination of a number of different experiences. And one of the things that I try and do best is to try and find the red thread to connect all of those experiences into becoming the best person that I can. Mm-hmm. Inevitably, and I don't know why this is the case, but I'm sure that this is the case not only for myself, for you, but for a lot of your listeners. More often than not, adversity is typically speaking the thing that we cling on to. Being a venture investor, I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday where they were like, I spend so much time on the companies that don't go well. Mm-hmm. But companies that are going well, they typically speaking as a venture investor, they don't need you. You learn the most from working with the companies that are perhaps have, fallen by the wayside or like a bird have perhaps broken their wing and need to be nurtured back into being able to fly again. And I think typically speaking from my life, so be it some of the loss that I've suffered, some of the professional setbacks that I may have experienced in the past, I think those are some of the things that have really defined me. And I hope to try and deal with people with empathy, with support, with integrity, with honesty. I think that those are some of the values that have helped define me.
Can we go back maybe to one of those experiences that you said that has defined you because maybe it was a hard moment, but did inspire you?
So, as I'd shared earlier on, my father passed away when I was 21, and I didn't really have any intention. So I've lived around in my earlier life, but when I moved to the US for university at the age of 18, I had very much the intention of staying there. And I loved America. I loved New York, and I loved the energy and wanted to build my career and my family on the East Coast. And then at the age of 21, when my father passed away, I moved to London. And it wasn't something that I fundamentally had thought that I would have to do, but I did, with the intention of moving to London for 2 years and trying to tailor a business school type resume with some adversity and having some international experience, and then going back to the US for business school. And as it so happens, my best laid plans didn't work out. I applied for business school. I got rejected from everywhere after having lived in, London for a few years. And then I was at a loss. And that loss basically was one for me where I had established what my 3, 5, 10-year plan had looked like. It was going to be in America with maybe the white picket fence and the family and whatnot. And all of that was broken. And in that moment, I realized that actually that's not adversity. That was probably, now looking back, the best thing that ever happened to me. I love living in Europe. I love being here. I love living in London. And I've had multiple opportunities. I now actually run our US business from London. I have a team that's in San Francisco. I have colleagues that are in New York. I could live anywhere. So that's probably one experience, one set of adversarial circumstances that came about in my life that comes to mind.
Well, I like that very much. And that helps us to connect to the question, we're talking about ecosystems, right? And we're trying to understand how we operate within them and trying to understand when we say them, what we mean. So if you had to define what node you are of which ecosystem and how you connect to the others, how would you describe yourself as such?
The fundamental role that I feel like I play in the ecosystem is one of a connector. And that's probably something that I developed in my earlier years. Being the connection between my mother, my brother, both living on different sides of the world. Now being the connector between the founders and some of the other investors that they want to work with. Being the connector between ecosystems. And those ecosystem for me is an interesting word, and it's something that we spend a lot of time internally thinking about because we think that an ecosystem fundamentally is the greatest creator of value in this generation. And being part of a really powerful ecosystem creates reverberating effects, right? And that being said, I think having a number of individual pods without connectivity layer doesn't actually create that ecosystem. So I think that one of the things that I try and serve is some semblance of connection, because everybody, within that ecosystem, if we think about any ecosystem, a rainforest or whatever, everybody's about their merry way, right? There are the trees that are growing, there are animals that are, that are going about their business, but there needs some connectivity tissue to allow that ecosystem to kind of grow and to foster. Yeah. And in a very, very small way, that's kind of what we try and do. We try and nurture that ecosystem, be it with capital, be it with a sounding board, be it with a shoulder. It could be with anything, but that's kind of the way that I typically think about it.
I like that. And do you think you are naturally a connector, or you kind of grew into one, or you learned to be one?
I think earlier on in my career, I realized that I couldn't teach myself something faster than I could learn from somebody else.
Okay. And
that's basically what basically led me to believe that I could find the answer quicker than I could teach it to myself. And that was the way that I, quote unquote, cut shortcuts throughout the earlier parts of my career and my life. And I think that's what fostered connectivity. I think the other thing that I really enjoy, and one of the reasons why I enjoy coming to events and speaking, is because everybody's got a story to tell.
Yeah,
everybody's got their own ecosystem in and of themselves. They've got their personal life, their professional life, their goals, their fears, and it's an amazing opportunity for me to learn. I think one of the things that I get so much joy from is the ability to learn from every single interaction that I can have. And so therefore, being the connector, I don't see as a job. I see it as a privilege. I see it as an immense opportunity for me to learn from a number of other people and connect the learnings that I have with other people.
We believe that so much, as Tech.Emotion, we seek stories, we create stories and craft them together with the others. And at the same time, we think that the importance is to unlock the human potential. So as an investor, how do you unlock the human potential?
As an investor, we unlock the human potential by letting people know that it's okay to fail. I think that that's probably the biggest thing. That fundamentally in any failure, as has probably been evidenced by some of the stories that I've just told you about myself, either failure or adversity has just presented an opportunity for me to grow. I think as an investor, providing some semblance of empathy. The reason why I love actually being in Europe is because also as an investor, it helps foster collaboration. People typically speaking are in their silos, and that's okay. It's a very fast-paced world out there, and you fundamentally have to be in your silo if you want to go fast enough. However, being somebody that has the ability to connect different silos with each other and foster collaboration gives me tremendous joy. I'm very privileged to be here in Milan today, but even today, my team is hosting a group from Australia, from banks, and a group of our founders in London, just because we wanted to foster collaboration and allow people to talk about their challenges, either as founders or as banks. And everybody's got their own set of challenges. Everybody's got their own set of silos. And what we try and do as investors, as operators, basically continue to try and foster collaborations and to try and continue to build, grow, and also connect ecosystems.
So thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was Tech.Emotion, 10 minutes to inspire.